Hello.
Hello, Dan.
Yes.
What's going on, my brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great, dude. We just got done blasting your latest track, When War Comes, man. That shit is so fucking heavy, dude. Oh my god, man.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man.
Hell yeah, dude. What the fuck, man? Shit. Fucking badass, dude.
Thanks, man. Just trying to make some heavy ass music.
Well, you're fucking doing it, dude. You are fucking doing it, man. So tell us, man, what's been going on in your world, man? I know you've been busy, and I know you got a big fucking gig coming up, dude.
Yeah. As far as Vicar Blood goes, we played our first show back in December up in Cleveland. We opened for Castrator. It was an amazing show. It was we couldn't have asked for a better first show. And now we're trying to get a couple more songs finished up, and we're going to be recording a full-length album in April. So we would like to get that out, if possible, prior to us playing Inkcarceration Fest in July. That's what we're hoping for.
Hell yeah, man. So tell us, how long have you guys been doing this, and how exactly did it get started? I know you used to be, or I don't know if you're still with, what's going on with 72 Legions? Because I've had Curran Murphy on the show a bunch of times back in the day with that band, which you were in as well. But are you guys still active? Is that still a thing?
No, it pretty much fizzled out because Curran joined Venom Inc., and then our drummer Colton, he has been doing some touring with Inhuman Condition and Seven Kingdoms. So
Gotcha.
With those guys just getting higher profile gigs, and it just kind of fell by the wayside. So as that band was ending, and I was kind of sitting around going, okay, what is coming next? Because it seems like I always have something going on, something I'm working towards. And then I just kind of found myself sitting there like, okay, what's going to happen next? And our vocalist Veda, I'm always posting stuff on social media, guitar riffs, just me playing guitar. I have a YouTube channel and stuff. And so I'm always posting stuff up. And she heard, I did something for YouTube, I think it was. And she heard the riffs, and she was like, hey, I really like these riffs. What do you think about me doing like a TikTok duet to them? And I said, yeah, that sounds cool. Go ahead. And so she did, and it sounded really cool. And then I said, well, how about if I take those couple of riffs and I just like add another riff, and we'll make a short song out of it, and we'll just record it and put it out for fun. And so we did that, and it also went really well. And so, she was really looking to do something, and I was kind of in between things. And so we were like, fuck it, man, let's just start a band. And so we just started. We didn't have any other band members at that point in time, but we just started writing music and recording it. And during that process, brought in some other band members. Steve Fernandez, our bass player, he was playing in 72 Legions at the time, or prior to that anyway. And so he came on board. And then Will, our other guitar player, Veda, had worked with him in like another project they were doing. So we brought him in, and we originally started with another drummer named Lewis. And then we ended up with our current drummer, Charlie's in Inoculation and a bunch of other bands, and he lives really close to me, so it's like really convenient as far as like being able to get together and practice and work on things.
Hell yeah. Well, as far as the band name Vicar Blood, how did you guys come up with that? Is there a story behind it?
Sort of. Well, Veda's name is Veda Boss, is her last name is Boss. So she was kind of doing a solo thing, and she had this VB logo. And so she also, because she had that logo, she had this band name kind of in her back pocket, and so when she told me the band name, I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. Sounds metal. Let's just roll with it. So we ended up reworking the logo and just moving forward with that.
Oh, man. That's one thing, too, the logo, dude. I love the fucking logo, man. It's fucking badass, dude.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
And the artwork too on the singles that you have on Bandcamp, man, all of them is fucking badass, dude. Who did that shit?
Oh man, I don't even remember the guy's name. Veda dealt with him, but yeah, it was just cool stuff that was like it was easy to just use for the singles, and it seemed like it would be cool and easy to print on T-shirts, and so we just kind of rolled with that stuff because we just thought they were cool designs and people would probably like them.
Hell yeah, dude. Fucking badass, man. And yeah, you mentioned your YouTube channel, and I know I see you on Facebook all the time, dude, doing fucking guitar videos, man. I love that shit, dude. I'm all about that stuff, man. But,
thanks, man. Yeah, I'm just always writing riffs and stuff and just trying to put them out there.
What's your YouTube channel for people out there listening so they can go check it out?
Dan Gates Metal.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, and I've seen some of your videos on YouTube, dude. You're fucking doing like, fucking gear shootouts and stuff. Tell us about that, man.
Yeah, well, years ago I started my channel just as like another outlet. I was playing in other bands, but you know how in band situations, maybe the band's not always ready for a new song or new riffs or whatever. And so I just kind of needed an outlet for that stuff, and it was just fun to me. And so I would just, I started a series where I called it 2 Minutes of Metal, where I'd put 2 to 3 riffs together, about 2 minutes long, just record it, maybe do a couple different camera angles. And I set out to do like 5 of those, and then I was like, maybe I'll do 10. And now I think I'm at like 19 or something like that. I haven't done one in a long time, but it was just fun for me, and it was a way to promote my guitar playing. And I kind of came to the conclusion at one point that instead of always promoting the bands I'm in and then having the bands fall apart and wasting all that, you spend time getting followers on the socials and then the bands fall apart, and then it's kind of a waste. So I thought, well, if I can start getting somewhat of a following for me as a guitar player, then those people can just see whatever it is I'm doing or what band I'm playing in. And so it's just another way to advertise and promote my music, basically.
I think, and I think it's a great medium for musicians to get on there and do that. Like, if you're cool with getting in front of a camera and fucking talking some shit about some stuff, and doing it, it really is a great way to fucking connect with people and on a different way, like a different level, like especially us gear nerds, man, because like myself included, man, I love that shit, dude. I love that stuff, man. That's
the stuff that usually gets the most attention. Like if it's, there's a million dudes on there playing guitar. So if I post a video of myself just playing guitar, yeah, it'll get some views, but nothing crazy. Now some of the gear videos will get thousands of views because people are more interested in that sort of thing. So, but yeah, it is a good outlet, and I guess it does take a lot of work, and I think a lot of people jump into it thinking that they're just going to automatically get a bunch of views and a bunch of followers, and it doesn't come that easy. So, a lot of people kind of bail out on it because it's not easy, and it just takes a lot of work. I could make a video, a 3-4 minute video, and I spent like a whole afternoon making. I mean, there's just a lot to it.
No, I know, man. I post videos on Facebook too of myself playing guitar every now and then, and
yeah,
even those, like they're just like fucking a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes a piece, but like, yeah, a lot of people don't realize like that literally takes up usually a whole fucking day just to put that together, edit the right parts, and then, you know what I mean? Because I don't know. It's just there is definitely a lot more to it than people think. But I mean, especially like doing YouTube stuff, man, because you got to get on there and talk about stuff and have know what you're gonna talk about, and I guess like have like an idea of it and put it all together, man. But as far as gear though, I definitely want to talk about this, man, because especially with this fucking band, dude, like. The guitar tones on this shit, man, is so fucking heavy, dude. I love it, man. What are you using? What are you doing, man?
I really appreciate that, because I view those songs that we have available right now, I kind of view those as just like demos, because I did the mixing and mastering myself, and I just, maybe I'm selling myself short, but a lot of times I just don't feel like I really know what I'm doing.
So you did all of that. You did all the mixing, mastering, everything.
I did.
That's fucking badass, dude.
But when I started recording for the band, I was using my, the first couple songs were written in a standard tuning, and then I moved into a drop A on my 7-string. But once I started recording my 7-string in drop A through my Mesa Boogie dual rectifier with the, why is it slipping my mind? The overdrive pedal I was using. Fortin Hex Drive, which was a pedal I'd owned for a while, and I wasn't super excited about it, but for some reason when I put it in front of the Mesa Boogie with that 7-string and drop A, it just sounded really, really good. And so what I did is I ran through my dual rectifier, and then I have a 2-notes torpedo captor, which is like a load box, so you can record right into the computer with it.
Yeah.
And then just had some IRs, some that I bought, and some that were free, and I just kind of got a blend of 2 that I liked, and I was feeling really good about the guitar tone, and everybody in the band seemed really happy with it. And so that part of it definitely turned out good, I think.
Oh yeah. What are the IRs that you're using?
Man, I was using one from a YouTube guy, Metalhead Productions, which was a DV77 speaker.
Nice.
And then I think the other one I was using might have been from that guy Glenn Fricker.
I got some of his too.
Might have been. I can't remember for sure off the top of my head, but yeah, there were 2 of them. One was a Vintage 30 and one was the DV77.
Hell yeah, man. I recently got one from Cola Keller. Is that how you say his name?
Oh yeah.
He did the. He's got those new speakers, the the Carnivores.
Yes.
Yeah, he did a video on there I seen a while back, and he was giving away some free IRs of that. So definitely check that out wherever it is.
I have been wanting to check those out, and I haven't yet.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude. Yeah, they sound great, and mixed with like a V30, it's perfect, man. But it definitely it's got me fucking wanting to get some like actual speakers to put in one of my cabs, man, because they sound good, man. But that's cool, man. Fucking I love that shit, dude. So as far as you mentioned boosting the fucking Mesa with what did you say? The
Fortin Hex Drive.
Hex Drive, yeah. You know, it's funny, like, so many different... I know a lot of people don't realize, but, like, lots of different boost pedals and drive pedals sound so different in different amps with different speakers. Like, sometimes you can put one in front of something and it won't sound good, but then you try it with something else and it fucking nails it, you know? It's like, it's really weird how... they're so interconnected, but you know what I mean? Like they have like their own. They really have their own fucking flavor, and like they don't always work with every single fucking amp. You know, like it has to be like a specific one, man.
That's very true, because I don't have like a ton of overdrive pedals, but I have a handful. And yeah, some of them I feel, because I've got some PVs, and then I got the Mesa Boogie, and yeah, like I said, the Hex Drive just worked great with the Mesa Boogie, but I don't really like it that much with the PVs. But then I have some that I use with the PVs that I don't love with the Mesa, you know?
It's really weird, man. It's fucking, but that's cool, you know, like that means... That's proof right there that we just need to keep buying fucking different fucking drive pedals for for different amps, man.
Yeah, and like every time
it.
Right, and every time I see somebody like in a Facebook group or something saying like, "Oh, this pedal sucks" or whatever, I don't, you know, I'm not gonna try and convince anybody anything, but in my own mind, I'm just like, yeah, but what did you try it with? Because there might be an amp that works great with, and just because it didn't work with what you we're trying it with doesn't mean it sucks.
Yeah, yeah. I know, like, having like a multi-effects processor, which is a cool thing too. You can flip through different drives that they have in there, because I got a Helix HX Effects, and it's got a bunch of different drives in there. And so with different amps, I can hook it up, and I can go through them and back and forth and see which ones work with which ones, and I've noticed myself, like there's different ones that sound great, and then there's some that just don't do it, they don't do it for me anyway. But I mean, it's all up to personal taste, I guess,
Definitely. And yeah, that is a good way to try out some different sounds. I've been using the HX Stomp because I've just been, at one point I just felt like I needed to kind of educate myself on some of these digital guitar rigs just in case I would need it at some point. And I'm glad I did, because I'm going to play some Scandinavian dates with another band I'm in called Mulciber, and I am taking the HX Stomp as my rig. So I'm glad I did that.
Oh yeah, that makes it a lot easier, man. It's a lot lighter to carry too,
Yep.
Just you can put your shit in there and hook it up, and you're ready to go. I mean, I know it's not the same as sitting in a room with a tube head and a cabinet, moving air and everything like that, but at the same time, like from putting on these festivals, like I'm always standing in the front row watching the bands play, and I see different bands come up, and that sometimes they come up with a full fucking rig with a tube head and cabinet, and sometimes they come up with just a floor modeler or something like that, and they're hooking it up straight to the PA. You really can't tell that much of a difference when you're out there in the crowd, like it's definitely more of a thing for us, I think, as guitar players, like in the room with it, what we feel, what you feel in front of it, and of course that affects how you play too. But I don't know. I mean, I guess when you're on stage and you're jamming in front of a bunch of people and it's all blasting loud, like you're not gonna really care too much about, the tiny little fucking differences. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, because I've been a diehard tube amp guy. I've been playing tube amps since the 90s, and I was not excited about digital stuff, and so I know exactly what you're talking about. Because are there differences? Yeah, there's differences, but if you're running that digital rig, like I'm running the HX Stomp and I'm using a Seymour Duncan Power Stage, but when you run it through a cab on stage in front of an audience, it's like, I don't think anybody knows or gives a shit. As long as it sounds good and it sounds heavy, the minor differences just aren't gonna matter that much. And back when we played our first show in December, I ran the digital rig because we were doing in-ears, and it was easy to run into the in-ear rack, to get my guitar sound in there. And so that was the first time I'd ever played live with a digital rig and in-ears, so it was like a whole new experience, but it worked out really well.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Well, tell us about your musical upbringing, man. Like when you were a kid, what were some of the fucking bands that got you into music and got you to this place where you're at now?
Well, when I was a little kid, I always liked music, but I was never played an instrument or anything. But I would listen to the radio, whatever's on the radio, pop, rock. I think the first cassette I ever remember owning was Journey Escape, and I had Kiss Love Gun on album when I was in like grade school, and so I always liked music. And then once I got to be about 14, 15-ish, I started discovering some metal stuff, because I was a skateboarder in the 80s, and a lot of the skaters were, I'd be looking at the skate magazines, and I'd see like Suicidal Tendencies and DRI, guys with stickers and hats on and stuff. And so I started getting into some of that, and then I just started discovering thrash metal, like, Testament and Sepultura and Metallica. And Metallica was my favorite band when I was in high school, and
Yeah.
I graduated in '89, so I was in high school in the '80s. Metallica was my favorite, but the two albums that I think like changed how I actually thought about music in metal were Rain and Blood. Because when I heard that, I was just like, I just didn't know that music could be that
Yeah.
evil and extreme, you know. And then shortly after that, I heard Darkness Descends by Dark Angel, and I felt the same way. I was like, fuck, man, this, I just loved it. And so I was just hooked on like thrash metal through high school. And then, you know, a couple years out of high school, well, towards the end of high school, I started playing guitar. And then I get out of high school, and a couple years later, you know, you start trying to get into a band, and I start discovering death metal and, you know, Suffocation and Morbid Angel, all the ones you always hear about. And, you know, this is like 93. So, yeah, the death metal, once I heard that, like we had already formed, my first band had already formed, and we were kind of playing a hybrid of like thrash and groovy type stuff. And then we like immediately discovered death metal, and we were just like, this is the direction we're going. So we just dove in and got into the tape trading scene. And so we were learning about new bands all the time. And we started playing a few shows, and then a few shows out of state. And it just kind of becomes addicting, you know? It's like you just want more of it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. I'm 48 now, and when I first really started getting into metal, it was in the early 80s. I was really young, like probably younger than I should have been getting into it, but I was just into it, like. But it was stuff that was on Headbangers Ball at the time, you know, the fucking Motley Crue, Iron Maiden, Ozzy, and stuff like that. And I hadn't heard Metallica yet, but I had seen them in the magazines and stuff in the back, you know. And I remember riding down the street on my skateboard, and there was these two teenage kids standing at the corner, and I got down there, and they were both wearing Metallica shirts. But it was funny because I didn't know how you said it, because I'd never heard anybody say it before.
Right.
The name. So I looked at them, and I was like, hey, you guys like Metallica, huh? And, and they just both cracked up. They were fucking laughing. They were like, this fucking kid. And then, later on, but then when they fucking put out that video for One, and I seen that on there, then I was just hooked, man. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, holy shit! Now I understand, you know, like. And then, but that opened up the floodgates, man. Like, you know, from there it was Testament, Slayer, fucking all that shit in the death metal. Sepultura, Deicide, fucking Obituary, all that stuff, man. I was really lucky to. We were living in Maryland at the time, and there was a station out of Baltimore called The Underground, and they were run by like these college dudes, and they would fucking play like all kinds of underground fucking shit, you know, like Exodus and King Diamond and stuff like that. And I would tape record the shows, just hours and hours of it. And I had a huge collection, you know, it was fucking way before the internet, man. You know, like you couldn't just go out and find anything. Back then you had to really, you know, if you had an outlet or something that was giving it to you, you had to fucking take it, man. And but it was cool, man, you know, because like it was just there was so much stuff coming out at that time. And then in the early 90s, you know, and it just got heavier and heavier, man. And I've always been into it, man. I'm still into it to this day. You know, I still love hearing what the kids are coming out with now. You know, this new stuff that's just fucking insane. It's like, it's mind blowing, man. Like they just keep taking it, man. You know, like they keep taking it to a new level. And it's funny because it all goes back to the Black Sabbath. You know, that fucking those old records, man, from fucking years and years ago, man.
Yeah, and a lot of these younger guys, people, I should say, there's a lot more women in it nowadays too. These younger people making music, a lot of them really do appreciate the older stuff too, and a lot of them are into it. It kind of blows my mind sometimes because, you know, they're half my age or more, but they're aware of these bands, you know, that I basically grew up on, and you know they like that stuff, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I know. a lot of them grew up on, or a lot of them got introduced to it through like video games, like fucking Guitar Hero and shit. You know, like. And that's cool too. You know, like whatever means it takes to, you know, like for me it was the radio, but if it's for somebody else, it's a video game. Like that's cool too. You know, like whatever it takes to get you into it, man. You know, and bring you into this thing and that we call heavy metal, man. It's a life. You know, it's like I don't know how to explain it, but like, fuck, man, just.
I'm with you though. I get it because I feel the same way.
Yeah, last year losing Ozzy, man, that was a huge fucking thing, you know. And I look back to that, and every time I think about that, I always go back to that. I'm like, you know, that was the beginning of everything, and we wouldn't even be sitting here I wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you if they hadn't have done that, you know. Like, it's so insane how much they influenced the world, you know, like with that heavy fucking, those heavy riffs, man, that just changed everything.
Yeah, and you think about it at that period of time, I mean, you know, there was just nobody doing that. And like they were so unique and original and just groundbreaking. It's like, how does that happen? It's crazy, but it's cool.
By accident. You know, it was by accident because Tony, with the thing with his fingers, and you know, he had to tune it down a little bit to make it more comfortable for his fingers to play. And so that just naturally gave it a heavier thing. But then they were obsessed with the horror movies and stuff, you know, like, let's make scary music. It just, but it's like, now, you know, looking back, it's like, fuck, man, here we are, dude. There's like, how many bands how many metal bands are there in existence at this point now in time? Like, it's fucking millions, dude.
Oh my God. I mean, just on Spotify alone. I mean, you know, like when I'm at work and stuff, I listen to Spotify, and it's like just the recommendations that it gives me. It's like so many bands I've never heard of that are fucking amazing with great production, and it's just crazy. And yeah, and you were talking about Ozzy. I just finally, after thinking about it for years and years, I finally just bought a record player. So The Ultimate Sin is like on the top of my list of things I need to get on vinyl.
Hell yeah, man. Jakey Lee.
I love that album.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Hell yeah, dude. All right, well, so what's coming up next for you guys, man? I know you mentioned that you have plans to put out a full album before the festival.
We're hoping before the festival. Yeah, we're recording in April, and we'd like to have it out before before Inkcarceration, but we're not sure how it's going to be released yet. We're not sure if we're going to have a label. We're not sure if we're just going to do it ourselves. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I do know that we'll have a full album recorded, and we have almost all the music written already. So we're kind of preparing for that, to do the recording. And then we have Inkcarceration. That's really the only things we have lined up right now. We've been really shying away from doing shows, just local shows, because we don't want to get distracted from our goal, which is to write enough music for an album and record it. And you know, not that there's anything wrong with being a local band, but we just didn't want to get caught up in that trap of just like playing all the same local venues and then being distracted from what we really want to do, which is write some good music, record it, and hopefully get some good shows, and maybe do some traveling, and who knows, you know, sky's the limit.
Hell yeah. Well, I'd say, man, as far as good shows, like, that is a hell of a fucking gig, dude. Congrats on that, man. Like, that's, you know,
thank you.
That's one of those gigs that most bands fucking dream about, dude. So, like, it's...
I know, we feel very lucky. It's just a matter of, you know, knowing the right people and then having them believe in what we're doing, and they put us on, and it's an amazing opportunity. I've been to that fest a couple of times. Some friends of mine played it a couple years ago, and I went with them, and it's pretty amazing. It's huge, and we're really excited about it.
There's gonna be a lot of people out there, man. Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, I'm about out of questions for you, man. Is there anything else you want to let the people know?
Well, if you're interested in the band, I would say just go to vicarblood.com because everything you need is there. You know, merch, music, videos, everything is there.
Yeah, and today's Bandcamp Friday too, so if you buy some shit from Bandcamp, man, 100%. Hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, well, Dan, before I let you go, can I get you to make us a station tag real quick?
Sure.
All right, whenever you're ready, say something like, "This is Dan from Vicar Blood, and you're listening to Metal Devastation fucking Radio."
This is Dan from Vicar Blood, and you're listening to Metal Devastation fucking Radio.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, man. I really appreciate it, man. And
dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, dude. No, I'm super excited for you guys, man. Fucking, I'm looking forward to hearing more shit from you. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna blast some more fucking Vicar Blood for these motherfuckers, so they can go crazy. All right?
Hell yeah, sounds good.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later, Dan.
Okay, thank you.
Later.
Bye.
There you have it, folks. Dan Gates from Vicar Blood live on the Zach Moonshine Show with Metal Devastation motherfucking Radio. Like I said earlier, put your speakers in your windows, put them in your front lawns, put them in your neighbor's driveway. If you got speaker cables long enough, carry them motherfuckers out there. Bang on their door and put your speaker in their fucking living room and crank this motherfucking shit up loud as a fuck, and you will see U-Haul trucks. Or probably police cars tomorrow. I don't know. If that happens, I didn't tell you shit, man. You know, what the fuck? Don't be listening to some dude on the internet. But seriously, man.